Hey there. This is Dr. Pam Perry. So, we're going to talk today about 5 ways to get media coverage, okay? Because media will set you apart, publicity will give you a whole new brand, it will bring in high quality clients. And I'm a publicist, I've been doing this for a few decades, and I'm going to explain to you one of the ways where PR can set you apart and really just send you over the moon in terms of getting new clients. If you've been feeling like I'm just stuck, I'm just talking to the same people on social media, well, listen to this show. And what we'll be doing is talking about 5 ways to get media coverage. So we'll talk about that right after this.
Welcome to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast. Join Pam Perry, veteran PR strategist, Emmy award-winning producer and publisher of Speakers Magazine, who will show you how to crack the code in getting out there to get known. Each week, she either interviews her media friends, PR colleagues, or she just goes solo, offering you strategies on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
Hey, so like I said, one of the things that you want to do is get publicity. So, a little bit about me. I've been doing this for a while. Started out working at the Detroit Free Press, worked in radio, worked in Christian television. I've worked for a lot of literary uh, companies as a publicist for Random House, the Zondervan, Thomas Nelson, Harvest House, all the houses, right? And primarily, I've been working with Christian authors. I've worked with T.D. Jakes and Bill Winston, Dr. Cindy Trim. And so, how do you get publicity? How do they really get that brand out there? So, as your media mentor and your PR coach and your PR angel, I have been publishing Speakers Magazine, working primarily with speakers and authors, love books, and really telling people how to position themselves and how to really get out there and get known, hence the name of the podcast, right? So, one of the first things that I really want to talk about, we're going to dig into how to pitch the media when you're brand new. It's like, well, where do you start? Okay, I'll tell you about where to start. How to position yourself as newsworthy. Quick story about something that is newsworthy that just happened yesterday. My in-laws, bless their heart, Lawrence and Carrie Perry, they were celebrating their 75th wedding anniversary. And that's pretty unusual. Actually, we looked it up and say, how unusual is that? That they have been married 75 years. High school sweethearts still married, right? Still in love and still good, healthy in heart and mind. So we looked it up, and 0.001%, less than 1% of any couple in the United States have been married 75 years or more. So we thought that was a good, what they call human interest story. What does that mean? Meaning that it's interesting as someone who would like to listen to the news. Because if you listen to the news, primarily it's shooting, it's car wrecks, it's disasters, it's accidents, it's like bad news, bad news, bad news after bad news. So they need a news hole that is pretty uplifting. And this is a really good story. So what I did is I wrote an alert and basically led with that fact and said less than 1%, actually 0.0016% of all couples in the United States have made this feat. And I talked about Lawrence and Carrie Perry and how their anniversary, 1950, December 2nd, and how we're celebrating with a luncheon, da da da, this and that. Well, got picked up by our 24-hour news station, sent it to the producer at the news desk. He thought it was a good story. He said, hey, are they available for an interview on the phone? And of course, they did a 10-minute interview. They were so excited. They woke up early on December 2nd. They got all dressed and everything. I was like, is it just a phone interview, Mom, Dad? So they did that. And they did the interview, and it ran all day, every hour on WWJ 950, and it's on the website. So I'll put the link down there at the bottom so you can hear their interview. And they gave advice on how does one stay married for 75 years. Then also we pitched it to television stations. And how far often? So people always ask, well, how far often? Well, with 24-hour news stories, with 24-hour news station, they primarily need news 24 hours. And so the day before is fine, a couple of days before, because I'm a publicist, they know me, they know pretty much solid, I'm giving them all the background and the details and things like that. So with the television station, they meet production where they're going to assign their MMJs, their multimedia journalists, or their videographers to go out and cover a story. So you do want to give them at least a week, if not more, especially for a story. So in terms of timing, that's it. But in terms of relevancy, why it's important, because in this season, there's divorce rates are 60, 70%, and it's even less that people stay married, and it's even less that they stay married for 75 years and they still love each other, can talk and speak. So they're not like in a nursing home and they're like, oh, I don't know what's going on. No, they were pretty much aware. Dad was actually just out celebrating with the luncheon with the Bloody Mary. Okay. So it's like really like a lively couple. So that right there is more or less like the backstory about how to get media coverage when it is newsworthy. The other thing is how to position this. If you are an author and an expert, how do you position yourself so that it is newsworthy? So what happens, a lot of authors and will come to me and say, hey, I have a new book. I want to get on TV. I want to get on the radio. I want to get in the newspaper. I want to get in magazines. And it's like there are a million books every year, brand new books. So you having a book is not the news. That's an ad if you just want to promote that you have a new book. So we'll talk about that. And then also how to use media strategically to build your credibility with your ideal client. That is really key. I want to explain that PR is a part of marketing. It is not advertising. It is a part of marketing, which really builds up your brand equity so that people can remember you, that they know what it is that you do, and then they can actually call on you for business and for to speak and that sort of thing. So I'll get into that. And then the last one is how to find the right places to pitch, which is my favorite part. I love doing that. Where's my favorite part? Where do I pitch? How do I pitch? Who do I pitch? That part is almost like the fun part of why I've been doing this for a couple of decades or so or more, because that is a fun part. Like I said, I've worked in newspapers, I've worked in magazines, I published a magazine. I've been doing podcasting for a while. I'm launching a television station in January, a channel called the Leading Edge Network. I've worked in radio. I've worked with Christian Television Network. I've worked in literary uh, as a literary publicist for many years when I first started out. So I know a thing or two about what sticks and what doesn't. And if you want to find out, you can go to pamperrypr.com, hit clients, and you see all the clients over the years, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And they all, and you can read the praise, all the testimonials and things like that, even on LinkedIn as well. So what I'm going to do is really just invite you towards the end of this about how you can be a part of our community, Ready, Set, Go, Speak, where I mentor you. I show you how to pitch, what to pitch, who to say, what to, when, how not to be annoying, because there could be a time when you're pitching and you are annoying. And then what happens is you get blacklisted. So the first step for any author, any speaker, any coach, any consultant is to have clarity. So when I ask as a publicist, where do you want to land? What media coverage do you want? I want to get on CNN. I want to get on Oprah. Everybody wants to get on Oprah, right? That's the holy grail of all media. I want to be on Oprah. Well, before you can even get on Oprah, you do need some clarity. So one of the main things that I sit with people and I really get them to understand the clarity of what it is their messaging is about. Identify the problem you solve, just like if you're going to book to speak, uh, and the transformation that you create. You want to make sure that you are understanding that. So what is it, the problem that you solve? So if you wrote a book or you're a speaker, what is it? Not that you're just motivating people, but what is the problem that you solve? Gather the proof, gather your stories, gather case studies. Like I said, statistics are really, really good. The credentials, and it's good. People have a lot of credentials, but people can always get credentials. You can buy the credentials, but the stories and the transformation from real people is really what the media wants. And then also to any kind of proven frameworks that you have that is unique and different to you, and knowing that. And so if you watch any of the shows, whether it is Oprah or Bishop Jakes or that sort of thing, you can see that they pretty much have a consistent story framework. They are, if they have a book coming out, they're really explaining, not just like, I want to have a new book, buy it, but it really solves a problem. Okay, so you want to make sure. Then you want to, in the media, this is just recent within the last 15, 20 years, is that they look at your online presence. They really do. They want to know, not that you have to have a gazillion people following you, but they want to know if your online presence is congruent with what you're pitching. If you are a speaker and you're an author, they want to see that there's a speaker and an author that you are pitching, not that you are a chef or that you are, you know, and we all have other things, you know, you're a mom, you're a wife, but they don't want to see that in your social media. They want to see congruency of what it is that you are pitching. So, what problem you're solving, making sure that's clear, that's across all of there. Then they're looking at the numbers. They're looking at the numbers. Obviously, the more numbers you have on social media, it's a good thing. It's a good thing because they know other people are paying attention to you. So, the media, they don't book mystery, they book clarity. Step one. That is step one, having clarity. That's the first step, really, in the framework of Ready, Set, Go, Speak, of being ready. Understanding what is, how to showcase your expertise. What is your expertise? That whole part, we have a whole module in Ready, Set, Go, Speak, besides the community of when I mentor people and listen to their pitches, but just really understanding that from the standpoint of like, okay, it's leadership, but what type of leadership? Or it's, I'm an educational consultant. What type of educational consultant? Who do you serve? The more clear you are on that and the more you can niche it down, the better. So I help women. What type of women? How old are the women? What are some of the psychographics of the women that you help? Are they burnt out women? Are they women who are high achievers and educators? What? So the more you do that, because you're going to match who you serve to the audience that you want to approach. Okay, that's really, really key. You're matching who you serve to the media audience that has that particular audience, and then you marry those two. That's got that. Okay, number two. One of the things too, I want to make sure that I really talk about my quick media coverage. I'll give you that little tidbit right there. So if you go to pamperrypr.com/PR success, you'll see some of the quick media coverage. Quick media coverage are really long form stories that are online. So whether it's the US Times, American Business Stars, Business Sharks Magazine, obviously Speakers Magazine, it's a way where I take your story, I synthesize it, listen to you, and then we put it into we pitch it and place it onto a long form story. Those are the way where you can actually see how the media will see you, how you then really interpret how other people see you as well, how you see yourself. And then that's what quick media coverage is. So quickmediacoverage.com, you could go there as well. So what that leads into is newsworthiness. So if you tell me who it is you serve, you give me the clarity, you tell me about your book, your hooks and all of that, and then I put in the story, is it newsworthy? Give an example of the peers. Is it newsworthy? Give it that stat. Is it something that people want to uh, uh, understand? A good thing right now, since it's December, a lot of human interest stories. Dr. Portia Lockett was recently on Fox 2 News, and she's been on there every single month since last year that we have pitched her during this period of time because she's a grief recovery specialist, and grief is a big topic during the holidays from Thanksgiving to Christmas. There's a lot of grief that goes on. People have the memories of the holidays with their loved ones who have passed. So this is a good time for her to really step forward in the media with that particular thing. The problem that she solves is helping people recover from grief. So she was on the Fox 2 News and she had an event and she has some other products and things like that. And then she does coaching. So the thing about when you are pitching to the media, you want something that is newsworthy and timely. The Speaker magazine cover was Sunita M. Hill, and she was on the cover. It had to do with the fact that November was Lung Cancer Awareness Month. That's what her nonprofit supports and why it was created. That's a news hook. Those are the things where she gets on different interviews. She was on Rashawn McDonald's show that's on iHeartRadio. He's a big brand master working with work with Steve Harvey and Stephen A. Smith and all these kind of things. So she met Rashawn, and because of the timeliness of her being on the magazine cover, and also it being November being Lung Cancer Awareness Month, those two collided, and that really helped her be on other shows as well. So you want to position yourself as newsworthy. How do you do that? You must have an angle. What is the hook? The book is typically the hook, but you have to find it what is timing. Link your message to what's trending in the news. So stop right there. What's trending in the news? You got to know the news to know what's trending in the news. Now, I'm not saying you got to watch CNN 24/7, but you should know, like, what are the headlines. I always tell people one of the quickest way to know what's in the headlines without really being bogged down in the negative part of the news is to really watch the late night shows, because the monologue, when they come out, they typically talk about what's trending in the news. They make light of it, but at least you know what's going on. Okay, so that's one of the main things. And then tie your story into what's trending, because the newsrooms want to provide information of what people are searching for and looking for. And so if you can be that subject matter expert and be a source for them, that's really, really good. So offer something that's fresh, something that's timely, some insight that's different, maybe something that's contrarian to what everybody else is saying. That's always good too, because they want to bring viewers. Think about this. They are in business to make money, the media is, and they want to bring good shows, enlightening shows, entertaining shows. They want big audiences. What can you do to help them with that? So instead of you thinking, how can I promote my stuff? Think about it from their standpoint. Think about it from the publisher's, editor, producers, or the reporter's standpoint. What is it that can get them the award, right? Get them the Emmy, get them the prize of the best feature story. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for a really good story, and you can provide that for them if you just think like them. That's one of the main things. So, what is their audience? Knowing their audience, so watching the news. If it is the Oprah show, or if it is CNN, what do you think their audience is looking for? And then you provide that. You become that go-to person for them, and demonstrate that you can be a part of the bigger conversation. You want to demonstrate that. So that's why having a social media footprint is important, especially video, especially podcasts, where your voice is heard as being a part of the bigger conversation of what their audience wants to hear. Now, when you go on television, it can roughly be about 5 minutes. Dexter B. Jenkins, he came here to Detroit, and really he was doing a lot of, I won't say excavating, but he was really looking at what Detroit had to offer in terms of real estate. His book was called the real estate blueprint. And so he went on CBS station and talked about why Detroit is a very, very good place, good soil to really start investing in real estate. Now, he did that. He had a real estate show. He has a lot of good social media. He's got a book. He has done events. So it all led to, like, okay, this person is an expert. They do know what he's talking about. And he's been on other TV stations as well. But Dexter B. Jenkins went on, and the segment was probably 3 minutes, but it was on CBS, and it's on their website there to this day. So you want to make sure that you are demonstrating that you are the person for the topic. They want to know why this topic, why you, and why now. Now, he was coming from Boston, so that was why now. Why you, again, his expertise led with that. And then why this topic, and talking about the recession and what is the best way to recession proof a lot of your money is through real estate. And that's really what he's been talking about. So that's number 2. Okay, so you got that. Position yourself as an expert that's newsworthy, not as an expert that I want to sell some books. Okay, that's one of the main things. You want to make sure you're not trying to just sell some books. Okay, the other thing is how to use the media to position yourself as the go-to expert. And this is where I really help people in Ready, Set, Go, Speak to really dig in to understand this. So you have a long form story that has been written on you, right? It's a long form story. It's 1,500 words. It has a nice headline, a picture of you. It has backlinks in the story. I love print journalists. Okay, I love print journalists. I'm part of NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists. It started out really like the folks that the people that were running around with the pads and the pen, right? The street reporters. And not to say that the TV journalists aren't reporters too, but I'm just saying that longer form stories really give you have a lot more space to tell a story. So 1,500 words is pretty long. 1,500 words, you can say it on a website, online things. So you want to make sure that once you have that long form story, that maybe you pitch it to broadcast. Because when I first started in college, one of my first jobs as an intern at a radio station was that we had to. Yes, I worked for the public radio station here, WDET. We had to be there at 6 in the morning, and we had to do the newscast. So what we would do, now I wasn't running around in the street looking for news. We had to read the newspaper, had to read the free press or the news, and from that news, we had to cut up and give news stories segments for each of the reporters. Now, this was many years ago, so I'm sure it's different now because you got online stuff. But what I'm saying is that the broadcast people took a lot of things from the print. So by you leading with, a lot of people want to jump right into television. I would say jump right into print first, whether it is print, whether it's a print magazine first, or because within here are the longer form stories, right? These are the longer form stories. Or you jump into a newspaper, and I'll give you a story of Rodney C. Burris, and this really helped him out. And I'm just saying how to position yourself as a go-to expert. The broadcast outlets will give you more attention when you have a lot more print credibility. Okay, because now they can read it, they can investigate it, they can just decipher it better, right? Because now they're reading stories. So Rodney C. Burris out of Baltimore, he the large African American paper, or one of the oldest African American newspapers, called the Afro. And so the Afro uh, was pitched. He's a leadership trainer and development consultant. And he really talked about his different unique way of where he leads and the businesses and that sort of thing. So this was a few years ago, and the Hook was really about, at that point, really talking, leading leaders into the diversity, equity, and inclusion. How do they really put that into their programming? So he pitched the reporter. First, you got to know who the reporter is. So he found out for him who the reporter is, and I said, I want you to be her best friend. So without being annoying, he just basically like followed her, what kind of story she's writing, just being friendly, typical human relations. Like, be interested in her so that you know that what she's about. Well, she got interested. He got interested in her. Then he pitched his story. She liked the story angle, and he ran on the front page of the Afro of the business section, and a big picture of him and what he does and the whole story. Megan Siles, I believe was her name. And she did such an excellent story. It was so good. And I said, okay, Rodney, now what I want you to do in order to position yourself as a go-to expert, take that particular story. He framed it, but didn't have to frame it. I said, make copies of it and mail it to your ideal clients, mail it to the leaders, mail it to corporations. This is a long story. And you get it in the mail, you open it up. It's like, oh, he's been in the newspaper. Wow, this is great. Read all the stories. I think his was probably about 2,500 words. She wrote an excellent story. And there, he then can post it online, and you post everything everywhere. You can add as seen in the Afro on your media kit. You can repurpose that content over and over again. It builds momentum. So media attracts media. So he got other podcasts, other people reaching out to him, other magazines, other television stations reaching out to him. He can then take that story and pitch it to a broadcast. So it works this way to position you as a go-to expert instead of just saying, I'm going to post on Facebook. Okay, I'm going to post it on Facebook. That's fine. Okay, your friends and family go, yay, Hercules. Okay, and they'll just, it's just like, okay, but you want to send it directly on your email list. And I do a whole module in Ready, Set, Go, Speak on how to leverage your PR 50 different ways. 50 different ways. You can put your email signature, you can send out to your email list. Obviously, social media is a big part of it, but you can also, in terms of social media, put it on LinkedIn, put it in a newsletter. It's different ways. So anyway, that's how you really raise your speaker fees, get more clients, sell more books, because now you're positioned and that story about you is told. It's not you talking about yourself all the time. It is the media. It has vetted you and now they're telling your story. So that's when I really would like it. So the other thing is, how are you, what are the starting points? So where do you pitch? Number 4, and how do you pitch? The third one was how to position yourself as a go-to expert. All right. That is really the main thing. Making sure you're positioned as a go-to expert. Like with Rodney, what he did, he actually took that leadership story, sent it to his ideal clients, send it out to his email list, really just, maybe a lead that he had talked to maybe 6 months ago and say, hey, you know, I was just recently featured. You can do those kind of things. So you want to make sure you're putting it in your media kit as well. So you need to have a media kit. So that's one of the things I teach people on Ready, Set, Go Speak, and how to really put together a media kit. And then the other thing is, how do you pitch? Where do you pitch and how do you pitch? So one of the main things is appearing on podcasts, not just any podcasts, but the ones that are in your niche. So you obviously have to listen to podcasts and know what type of guests that they are. Don't just get a list of podcasts and say, hey, these are the people I'm going to pitch. No, not really. You want to make sure that you're doing, or if you do have, uh, you know, I love LinkedIn. If you're just starting out, LinkedIn is a great way to really just see who works for what station and what are their positions. And then a lot of times, if you go to Twitter or any of those kind of things, they want tips. They're in business to provide news, not to sell you, but to provide news. So a lot of times they'll have their emails readily available on the website for, you've got to find the right reporter and then find the website, what they work for, and then find it. If it's a Cranes or if it's a business journal, typically their emails are there. Newspapers for sure, because they're looking for tips. They have to fill a news hole all the time. So you want to do that. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. And the other part that you want to do when you are making sure of like who to pitch and what to say, templates. Brevity is the best thing. Don't go really, really long. Do 3 bullets. This is why this story is important. I gave you the example of my in-laws and how they actually got on the news. Just really thing. It's like, hey, the percentage of 0.0016% of marriages in America make it to this feed. That was one hook. And then 2, they're local in Detroit area. And then 3, they're also African American. So we have some things that are like unique to the particular audience or to the particular media. So that's one of the things as well. So you want to make sure when you are who you want to pitch, obviously the best place to look on Apple Podcasts is really, really good. Looking in other media kits of maybe your competitors or other people who are influencers in your field, that's really, really good to find out who to pitch. And then also to use Google Alerts. Who do you pitch? Put in Google Alerts so that you can say, I'm looking for podcasts who, and Google will send you those type of things, and you can spot opportunities in real time. So you want to send a short, tight, well-written pitch. Press releases, I didn't talk about that. Press releases when you have like really, really big news. Alerts are when something is happening really fast and you want to alert them. But press releases, like when a book launch or there's some kind of news hook, or if it's, I give you an example of Black History Month is coming up, and a lot of times they're looking for stories that have to do with African American culture. So one of the things about African American culture could be soul food. So I pitched Sharon Reed, one of my clients. We put a long form story. We put it in CEO Weekly. We put it in some other online publications. We sent that particular one to the Fox station and the ABC affiliate there. She got picked up. Why? Because we talked about her food, soul food, and how to make it healthy. Okay, so it's not so much, especially if the health disparities between African Americans, like we have high blood pressure and we have diabetes. So how do you make the food soul food, but then not so much sugar, salt, and fat? And so she showed different ways to do that, and she actually cooked on the show, and she's been running ever since. You'll see her on my page as well. But Sharon has done well from getting the beginning of the quick media coverage and then taking that and actually pitching it. And from that media, she's actually gotten a contract with a sports team in the Washington, D.C. area because of that. So it took her out of the the whole social media game. It's like, I just want to post on social media. Yeah, that's fine. But in order to get out of the fray, sometimes you need to get out of what everybody else is doing and then say, okay, now it is a little bit harder. You've got to have a pitch. You got to have clarity. You got to have a hook. You got to be good on the meat. I mean, there's the things, when you're putting together this stew, there are things that need to go into it in order for it to work. But she had all of that. So that's who do you pitch? What do you say? Make it short, make it tight, make it timely, make it relevant, make it match their audience. You have clarity, you know that. So how do you get all this? It's like, whoo, Pam, this is a lot. So I got you in terms of media pitches, templates, coaching with me. You can run your pitch by me, journalists to contact, because a lot of times journalists come to me and say, who do you have for? And I get that all the time. I have a show. I need a guest. And so it's like, okay, this person's ready. I know they're ready. Because we get them ready. We get them ready, set, go, speak. So a lot of them will be like, okay, I need someone. And I'll put it in our community. It's a really supportive community of each other. I know everyone basically where their strengths are, where they need to improve. And so within this community, it's 12 months. You can go to Ready, Set, Go, Speak, join it. And if you're listening to this podcast now, by the end of December, if you want, I can actually do a private session with you one-on-one, give you a media roadmap, give you media contacts so that you can come out blazing. All right, come out blazing. So that's one of the main things. You want to make sure that you do that. So with that, it's roughly 30 minutes. So you want to make sure that you go to Ready, Set, Go, Speak, learn how to pitch the media, learn why the media will help your business, learn how to leverage it so that you are the go-to expert, how not to be annoying, how to use a PR publicist as a person that kind of like will open the door for you and give the connections. Because the other thing I didn't tell you, that within Ready, Set, Go, Speak, I give media connections. There are thousands of my media connections already in there. There are people who are always looking for guests, subject matter experts and guests for shows. You can get on my network, the Leading Edge Network. And then also, too, I put awards in there that people can, and you'll see a lot of my clients that are winning awards. That, again, is part of the credibility, but it's also a news item as well. So with that, I just want to just say, if you're really, really ready or want to get ready to set, go, and speak, go to readysetgospeak.com and just check it out. If it sounds like it's like, hey, Pam, that's something I really want to do it. Don't overthink it. Just do it. I'm telling you, people who overthink things, just think about where you would be last year if you would have taken advantage of this year. Okay. Just, if you would be further along. So many times people are like, oh, I don't know if I should do it. Try it. It's like the thing. If you could have done it, you would have done it by now. This is the thing. And I know for me, having a coach, having a program, having someone lead me, someone who can listen to me and hear my pitches. I just talked to someone from Ready, Set, Go, Speak today. And she was like, I need someone to help me. It's like, got you. This is it. So the tools are tested. The leads are in there for you to apply for speaking gigs, for you to apply to media, to apply to awards. They're given to you in real time. And then we have meetings every single Friday, mentor meetings, office hours, so that I can hear your pitches and just say, hey, you need to send it to this person, that one, and this one, so you can get your marketing momentum going. Okay. With that, I'm Pam Perry, and I'm out.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast, brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch in order to be considered in media places or superstar stages. PamPerryPR.com.